As listeners, we want you to understand that the solution of business, tax, and legal issues depends on many factors, including local, state, and federal laws. Listeners' names and questions may be simulated. The show is not intended to offer business, tax, or legal advice, and Spiegel and Utrera PA, its attorneys, and Lawrence J. Spiegel recommend you seek legal advice from an attorney about your specific matter. AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today. There are only two types of people, those in business and those who wish they were. Join Larry Spiegel, entrepreneur, author, and managing shareholder of Spiegel and Utrera PA, with host Joe Castello, as they tackle issues and challenges associated with starting, expanding, buying, or selling your business in today's highly competitive marketplace. It's time to start or expand your business today. And now, here's Larry Spiegel and Joe Castello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today. I'm Joe Castello, and once again, we are joined in studio by entrepreneur, author, and managing shareholder at Spiegel and Utrera PA, Larry Spiegel. Larry, welcome back.
Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be back, and I'm looking forward to the questions that we get from our listeners.
I learned so much on this show, Larry.
Great.
It's great to have you answering these questions, and we do have questions for you today. I know that there are a lot of people out there. They're trying to get something going, start their own business, maybe on the side, something in addition to their day job, and they don't know exactly how to go through the process or maybe have some questions, and that's what we do here on the show. It takes an idea, it takes commitment, it takes hard work, and every once in a while you might run into a stumbling block, and, well, that's where we come in.
That's right. What it takes is an effort on the part of an individual who wants to be in their own business, get started, and take on the challenges associated with it.
In some of our past shows, you said something that has really resonated with me about fear, Larry, about fear, that sometimes fear can be the best motivator, fear of being able to provide, fear of being able to earn money. And that can be a motivator.
Yeah, I find that mostly with entrepreneurs who've got their businesses going. They definitely want to succeed, and the business itself forces them through this principle of fear to make decisions, to move forward, to do what they have to do. Many times they'll go to work and not know what that day is going to bring them, and they go home and they're exhausted.
It's a different world out there when you're running your own business, but it is definitely fulfilling. Sometimes, though, there's a hurdle in the way or a problem arises, something that you don't know how to handle. Well, if that's you and you have a question about starting, expanding, buying, or selling your business, anything in between, give us a call, 800-520-7600. It works just like a voicemail, so you can call anytime, day or night. Sometimes those 2 a.m. phone calls, we love them. 800-520-7600. Just leave your name and your question, and we may use it right here on the show. You can also email us at radioshow@AmeriLawyer.com. Larry, are you ready to roll?
Yeah, I'm all fired up, Joe, ready to go. Let's go. Let's see what you got.
Sounds great. First question. This one coming from Carl.
Hey, this is Carl. I'm a big fan of the show. Really appreciate the service you guys provide by having the show on a regular basis. My question is this. A while back I started a website, and the idea is hyper-local area recommendations as far as restaurants and businesses and activities. However, I think I've got a unique idea that's unlike what else is out there, you know, in the same faction. It's a free site. Is there any way I can make money from it, though? How do I go about selling advertising? Right now, I only have a domain name registered, but any other things I should do to take this site to the next level? Any ideas you guys have for me? Much appreciated. Thanks, guys.
Well, Carl, thank you for your question. It's an interesting question because you have this aspiring idea about a business that relates to and is on the Internet. You know, but when you come right down to it, it's not much different than a regular business. So when I think of something like this, I think, well, what type of business is this like? And when I saw you and heard your question, I thought of the billboard business. So how does a billboard company go about, you know, selling advertising on billboards, let's say? you could apply those same principles to your business. We come off of the internet for a moment because we have to get customers. I think the billboard company works phone to phone with its customers. It solicits them over the phone. It's calling them. It's got a pitch. There may be face-to-face contact. Again, the same thing with a pitch. Certainly you know in your area who's advertising in the newspaper, billboards, on the radio. These are all leads for you to work and work with. It's just not going to fall out of the sky, the success that you will have. You're going to have to work for it, and you're going to have to consider this concept that even though your business is on the internet, getting the customers is really right around the corner, right in your locale. Apply basic principles and get those customers.
Next question. This one coming from Michael, Larry. Michael writes, "Hey guys, I'm thinking of buying a rundown 20-unit motel on a busy street in my neighborhood. What do you think of that idea, especially the timing?" asks Michael.
Well, Michael, I like the idea. It's an interesting idea, principally because you're purchasing a capital asset. So you'd want to look at that. Are your customers, they're going to be cash customers? They're going to use credit cards? Concern yourself about that, because I don't see accounts receivable in this type of business. And I think that can be very helpful because you'd establish cash flow almost immediately. Now, of course, there's a lot of things about that type of business that you'd also want to consider. For example, the type of customer and what's going to be your marketing angle. Is that the type of 20-room motel that you may rent the rooms out more than once each night? Something like that. So you have to consider these things. But I do believe that that's a capital asset. Financing is probably available for it if you put together a good plan, present it. Banks and other lenders love real estate, and there shouldn't be any reason why you couldn't finance it with a good plan. Also, there's the possibility of seller financing, depending upon the condition of the real estate.
These boutique motels have become very popular. You mentioned a certain genre. There's a lot of different genres out there, really high-end, and I think he's going to have a lot of options and some deciding to do. Whether or not he gets it is just the first step. There's a lot of different angles.
Right, but I mean, you have to have a plan before you even get started. You cannot make commitments that are required to purchase a business like that and not have a plan.
If you've got a question, radioshow@amerilawyer.com. You can shoot us an email, and it'll go in the stack, and we may use it on the show, or give us a call, 800-520-7600. Just leave your name and your question, and we may use it on the show, and we're getting questions from all types of people. And all I can say is, no matter how big your business is or how small your business is, if you've got a question, send it over. We're hearing from entrepreneurs all the time, Larry.
Great.
We're going to put the questions to you. We'll be back after this with more of your questions right here on AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today.
Start or expand your business today.
There are some mistakes in business that may cause the occasional headache. Then there are some mistakes in business that may keep you up all night for weeks and months at a time. Avoid those mistakes by seeking strategic business and legal advice from a team of attorneys ready to help you. Spiegel and Joe PA's General Counsel Club can assist you with the tough legal and business questions at crucial times. Call toll-free 800-734-9900 to receive your annual membership and be entitled to get unlimited strategic business and legal advice for a year. The General Counsel Club can assist with how to buy or sell business, converting hobby expenses into legitimate business expenses. What are legitimate business expenses for tax purposes? Tips on leasing a business location, whether for retail, office, warehouse, or industrial. Leasing versus buying options for vehicles and equipment. IRS examinations, audits, liens, levies, deficiencies, and settlements of tax disputes. Knowledge is power, and knowing that Spiegel and Joe PA's General Counsel Club is one phone call away may give you the confidence to succeed during the day and rest well at night. Call 800-734-9900 or log on to AmeriLawyer.com today.
Got a question about starting, expanding, buying, or selling your business? Email radioshow@AmeriLawyer.com. Listeners' questions may air on episodes of AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today. That's radio show at AmeriLawyer.com. Now back to Start or Expand Your Business Today.
Welcome back to Start or Expand Your Business Today. Joe Castello along with Larry Spiegel. Larry, we got questions from people out there. It's like a never-ending river of challenges and questions, and you never know what's going to happen when you're out there in the business world.
And even answering the questions, Joe, many times I'll answer a question and I'll be thinking about it that evening and other things I could have added to it to embellish the answer. There's just so many different situations out there all the time.
I like the fact that you're taking the show home with you at night, thinking about the listeners and the questions. I like that.
It's constant. I am, and of course my clients are calling me all the time, too, with their situations, and many of them are similar.
There's always a challenge, and we've got plenty of questions today, so we're going to get right back into it, folks. Remember, give us a call, 800-520-7600, radio show at AmeriLawyer.com. And this next question coming from Robert. My name is Robert. Over the past 2 years, I have been buying and selling used cars. It started pretty easily. I saw a car on the side of the road that I liked, so I contacted the owner and bought it for a good price. Later in the week, someone asked me if it was for sale, and I sold it for $500 more than I bought it. I thought, wow, that was easy. Since then, I have sold several cars this way. Now I'm thinking I can take this to the next level by purchasing several cars at a time. I'm sure there is more to it than just flipping the inventory. What should I be doing to get this off the ground the right way? Says Robert.
Well, Robert, thank you for your question. Of course, the car business is a good business. There are many, many successful entrepreneurs in the car business. You don't have to look very far to see them either. However, in your situation, in every jurisdiction, there is a requirement for you to obtain a license to sell motor vehicles. And generally, it's regulated by the Department of Motor Vehicles in the state where you're located. And generally, it revolves around the number of vehicles that you sell. Once you sell so many vehicles in a stated period of time, like a year, you have to get a license. And it is a regulated industry. Now, it may very well be worth your time to hire a lawyer to tell you exactly what it is you need to do to be compliant if you're ready to take that step. I'm not sure, you didn't mention whether or not you wanted to have a physical location, but you certainly could not do this in the manner you've been doing it to date if you had a physical location.
I'm sure there are a lot of businesses, Larry, that start out almost by accident, where someone does something just like Robert, and they're like, hey, I just made some money. And next thing you know, they're doing it a lot and find themselves having to double back and take care of some of these regulatory situations, licenses, etc.
Right. Lots of businesses spring up like that, for sure, because the success just brings more opportunity. It also brings a high level of comfort to the individual, and one thing leads to another. But they weren't compliant with all the things they needed to be compliant with, and now they want to do it on a full-time basis, get a physical location. It's a different story.
All right, we're going to move on to our next question, this one coming from Rhonda.
Hi, guys. This is Rhonda. I've heard that if I have a strictly work-from-home eBay business, I don't need the same liability insurance that someone who owns a brick-and-mortar store needs. Is this true? As I grow, are there other insurance issues I should be aware of? Thanks.
Well, Rhonda, thank you for your question. Of course, it's obvious that you don't have customer traffic at your business location. You're over the Internet. So the type of liability insurance a brick-and-mortar store might have, like for customers that come into their store, you don't need that. But when you move away from that area, for example, slip and falls or other types of claims customers might make because they were on your premises, your business is very similar then to the brick-and-mortar store. And there, it would require an analysis of the types of products you're selling to determine whether or not you need products liability insurance, whether or not anything that you're doing gives rise to potential liability that you may want to obtain insurance to cover you.
I want a reward for not using the Help Me Rhonda joke. Help me, Rhonda. All right, you're not loving that. I got to say, Larry, the whole insurance area, speaking of a thicket that's intimidating to a lot of people, you definitely want to make sure that you are covered.
However, it is one of those expenses that you have in business that you can put off and procrastinate and not obtain, and then something does happen. But it crosses the path of just about every business in one way or another.
Moving on, next question. This one coming from Linda via email. Linda writes, "My name is Linda, and I love the show. I own a pet grooming business and registered it as an S corporation and trademarked the name. But I saw a business one county away with a very similar name spelled differently. How do I protect my business name?" asks Linda.
Well, Linda, the question is whether or not you have a priority over the other business. The other business is not complaining of you. You just became aware of them. So let's do an analysis. What was the date of first use of their name, and what was the date of first use of your name? Are they limited to their county? Are you limited to your county? Is there confusion in the eyes of the consumer? And one of the sure ways to see this happening is if you begin to get telephone calls for the other business or vice versa. We see that happen many times. And that's what generally gives rise to putting one business owner on notice that there is some confusion with their name out there. So after we do this analysis, and I'm assuming you're both in the same product line, because that's also something that needs to be looked at in these types of situations. You could contact the other business owner, ask them to cease and desist from using the name, but that may backfire because they may have a higher right to the name than you. So you have to be careful. I would recommend that you call us at the General Counsel Club so that we could help you out with that. We could do a quick search to determine the date of first use and whether or not the other business owner has registered their trademark.
Great question, Linda. Best of luck to you. Now, Larry, when it comes to right of ownership, is it as simple as first on board gets to use it?
Well, it could be, but there are many areas, like everything, it can be extremely confusing. So you cannot just answer it and say that, although the person that uses it first is in a stronger position.
Excellent. Well, Linda, we wish you the best of luck. Would love to know how it works out. 800-520-7600. That's 800-520-7600. Hit us up with your question. Leave your name and your question, and we may use it on the show, or you can email us at radioshow@amerilawyer.com. Speaking of amerilawyer.com, if you hit the site, amerilawyer.com/radio show, you can hear additional episodes of Start or Expand Your Business Today. So if you want to just run through and listen to a couple hours of Larry answering questions, we got it for you there on the website, Larry.
Well, thanks for mentioning that, Joe. I thought about that myself the other day, that we haven't been telling listeners about that, and there are other shows and episodes for them to listen to that are varied, the topics, and they can get a lot out of that.
You might be thinking, well, they didn't answer my question about what my issue is. Well, check out the website, because we may have answered a question very similar to what you're looking for, and you can find that on the site, amerilawyer.com/radio show. We'll be back after this and wrap this thing up on amerilawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today.
amerilawyer.com.
Start or expand your business today. Form your corporation for as little as $104.95. Each corporation is complete and includes state filing fees, corporation records book, corporate seal, articles of incorporation, corporate bylaws, corporate minutes, stock certificates, preliminary name search, and attorney's fees. Spiegel and Joe PA and amerilawyer.com can also help you with assumed or fictitious business names, advising on legitimate business expenses for tax purposes, discussing the converting of personal expenses into deductible business expenses, assisting you in developing a service agreement for your business, answering your questions on the advantages of minority-owned business certification, explaining the differences between a corporation and a limited liability company, and the benefits of creating either a regular corporation, S corporation, or a limited liability company. Knowledge is power. Order over the phone at 800-603-3900. That's 800-603-3900, or online at amerilawyer.com.
Got a question about starting, expanding, buying, or selling your business? Call 800-520-7600. Just leave your name and your question. Listeners' questions may air on episodes of AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business today. That's 800-520-7600. Now back to Start or Expand Your Business today.
Final segment here on Start or Expand Your Business today. Joe Castello along with Larry Spiegel. Larry, this one has flown by. Again, we still got some more, but they are flying by these shows.
Well, they are, Joe. Thank you. And I hope I did a good job in answering their questions.
We're going to get right back to it. This one coming from Reggie. Reggie asks, "Hey guys, this is Reggie. My wife and I, along with our neighbors, started an investment club. We all contribute money, do research, and invest together. We are now getting more people in the neighborhood that want to join. At our last meeting, we came up with the idea of creating a members-only subscription website where we give our opinions on investing as well. How do we go about taking this step?" asks Reggie, and he says thanks.
Well, Reggie, thank you for your question. I think that you're really getting into an area of the law that's very regulated, and that's the securities law. There is an exception in the securities law for what we call an investment club. Investment club is limited to 100 members. An investment club would never make a public offering of membership in the club. And it seems to me that that's what you're trying to do here. You'd like to expand it. You've heard the Internet. You know, this is a great way to expand the business and so on. But this is just an investment club, a private investment club. It is not registered. And so I don't think that's a great idea. Continue in the neighborhood, developing the membership base, and remember that the members are limited to 100 members.
All right, next question. This one coming from Jake. "Hello, this is Jake, and I listen online. I'm a songwriter that recently moved to Nashville, Tennessee to further my music career. I have several songs that I have written and plan to pitch record labels and publishers in the industry. Should I spend the money to register my songs with the U.S. Copyright Office, or should I wait until I have an idea if my songs are any good or not? Being a new songwriter on a very tight budget, I don't have a lot of extra money to spend, so I'm trying to weigh the cost-benefit of doing this now as opposed to waiting. Thanks," says Jake.
Jake, thanks for your question. I think you're the best judge as to whether or not your songs are any good or not. You're trying to reach a certain market, a group, and you're on very thin ice if you do not copyright the music that you have written, and then you present it to another person who's also in that business. So I think it's rather risky. I'd copyright and register before I would make a disclosure. Now, if things are so tight, budget-wise, maybe you take one selection that you're crazy about, and you'd work with that, try to market that. Maybe it's whatever. But in my opinion, you need to copyright your work before you present it to anybody. Just think of the insurance that you receive for a small amount of money through the registration process. It's priceless, as they say.
Shark-infested waters in the music industry. You present a song that, they might tell you it's not good, and then say, "Hey, kid, this is not for you," and then take the song if it's not copyrighted.
Next thing he does, he hears it on the radio.
Oh, my goodness, that would be the worst thing in the world.
Right.
And he has no recourse at that point?
Well, we've talked about this before. At that point, he could copyright it. After all, he is the author. But remember, you cannot enforce your rights to the copyright of the song until you register it. So now he's copyrighted, and he can go ahead and enforce his rights. But his rights are going to be more difficult to prove in court than they would have been had he registered before he made the disclosure. So it becomes a question of proof.
The music industry, very, very tough one. That's the final question for today. And now it's time for Larry's final thought.
Well, Joe, I've been thinking today about the difficulties in business and how they're intended to make us better, not bitter. And to remember, in business, we cannot direct the wind, but we can adjust the sails.
I love that. That is great. Meaning you control your own destiny, even though other things are affecting you.
Exactly. And it's an important concept to keep in mind, because if you don't adjust those sails, the boat will keep floating. but it's not going to operate the way it should. And you can get away with that for a day or two or a week or more. But sooner or later, you'll be out of business if you don't tend to the sales.
Or end up in the middle of the ocean with no way of getting back. Great job, as usual, answering these questions out there, and I'm sure I consider the show a resource because there are people who are trying to make their way in the world, trying to advance themselves, and one question answered can mean the difference between tackling a hurdle or ending up in the middle of the ocean. Larry, great job, as usual.
Well, thank you, Joe. I hope we have put some people on the right track.
I think we have, and remember, if you're out there and you've got a business that you want to start or expand and you're thinking about buying something and maybe taking a step to advance yourself, if you've got a question, we're here to answer it. 800-520-7600. It works just like a voicemail, so day or night, if you got a question, pick up the phone and leave your name, your question, and we may use it on the show. Or you can email us, radioshow@amerilawyer.com, and there are more episodes of the show on the site, amerilawyer.com/radio show. Larry, take us home.
Well, Joe, I hope we've helped a lot of people out today and sparked some interest in people about starting their own business, and I want them to know that it's not all that difficult. However, you have to have a plan. So plan your work and work your plan.
He's Larry Spiegel. I'm Joe Castello, and we'll see you next time right here on AmeriLawyer.com presents Start or Expand Your Business Today.
AmeriLawyer.com, where understanding your business is our business.
There are some mistakes in business that may cause the occasional headache. Then there are some mistakes in business that may keep you up all night for weeks and months at a time. Avoid those mistakes by seeking strategic business and legal advice from a team of attorneys ready to help you. Spiegel and Joe PA's General Counsel Club can assist you with the tough legal and business questions at crucial times. Call toll-free 800-734-9900 to receive your annual membership and be entitled to get unlimited strategic business and legal advice for a year. The General Counsel Club can assist with selecting a legal and tax structure for your business, building business credit, when a trust should own your corporation or limited liability company. What are the benefits of forming a corporation or limited liability company? What are the differences between a corporation and limited liability company? Using employees versus independent contractors. Knowledge is power, and knowing that Spiegel and Joe PA's General Counsel Club is one phone call away may give you the confidence to succeed during the day and rest well at night. Call 800-734-9900 or log on to AmeriLawyer.com today.